All right, hey guys, I'm Elo sitting for Corrupted Cup, and I haven't done like a tier list video in like a year, but I have nothing else to do. I think I'm like rank 5 right now, but I can't play because I want the day 3 buy for Corrupted Cup. And you know what, I'm just bored, so I'll give you guys a tier list rundown, some things to think about, itemization, stuff like that. But also before I start, this is gonna sound like a gig ad, but they didn't even require me to do this. It was actually just really good, and I want to advertise like a good product. I recently partnered, or Factor like sponsored me. It's basically just like a food thing where they just send you like boxes, and you can just, it's like the food is really good and it's super easy to make. I think the problem with like HelloFresh and stuff is that I was too lazy to cook. I got my roommate to cook it for me, and then like he doesn't want to cook either. It takes like 30 minutes. But anyway, like Factor, it takes like, dude, you just put that shit in the fridge, or not the fridge, the microwave for 2 minutes, and you're chilling. And it's actually good. If you can use my code, there's a link below. It's my code is k3soju's 50, and basically your first box you can get like a week worth of meals for like 50% off. And if you think it's too pricey, I mean, it's not that pricey if you use the 50% off in your first box. And if you don't like it, just cancel it, like whatever. Like you should at least try it. It's kind of good. Like I think if you use like my code, it's like $7-8 a meal, and like the food's actually good. I heated up. Well, they sent me 6, but I already ate 3. I was supposed to do an unboxing stream, but I've been Elo sitting, so. But anyway, just my recommendation is no matter what in your box, make sure you buy this thing. The spicy poblano, I don't know, I don't even know what the fuck a poblano is, but just trust me. This sour cream, you put it over this and you like do a little mix, oh my God. But anyway, gonna start with the video. But I won't be covering legendaries because usually you want to like pivot your board into it. Like Urgot Fiddle are really strong, but I think I'll be talking about some of the caps that you can do anyway. So first I'll start with recons. The itemization is like weird, or it's not weird. There's 2 variations. There's a lot of good augments that you can do, but this is just like a generic board. It's just going to be like some frontline units, and usually it's 4 recon backline. The exception of not playing 4 recon is if you have either Jeweled Lotus and you only play 3 recon, or you have JG and you only play 3 recon. But another way you can play this comp is you can lose Ash if you have recon emblem, the recon +1. Either you get it from a tome or you get it from an augment, and you recon like Belveth or like Samira or just like any AD unit, and that opens up the ability to play Last Whisper on Vayne and duo carry Vayne and like your recon +1. But most of the time you're not gonna have the recon +1, or if you have recon heart, mainly you just want to do Kai'Sa primary carry. And her itemization doesn't really matter. A lot of times early game, like Shiv is just like one of the best items early game. You can even go Ginsu. I don't think Ginsu is that good on Kai'Sa, but I mean, if you have a bow rod and you can like play tempo or like save some HP early game, or it's just like good on a unit, I'm okay with just summoning Ginsu. But generally speaking, it's just three items on Kai'Sa. Even Hodge is okay because it gives some extra crit chance. It's more crit damage because you're already over the cap. There's Guard Breaker is okay, like GS is really good, Gunblade is good, Shiv is good, Ginsu is okay, JG is fine if you're willing to drop to 3 recon, and then like TG in this comp is pretty good. You can put TG on another recon if you're playing 4. But your front line, like let's say you're rolling down on 7 and you find like an Echo 2 and you have like 5 copies of Cho'Gath and 1 copy of Rammus, and you just drop the Rammus, play Star Guardian with Echo, and then you just go for Cho'Gath 3, Kai'Sa 3, and maybe Nyla 3. Nyla's pretty contested though, so I don't know if you'll hit. Even Cho'Gath is pretty contested. Sometimes if you're contested, you can actually just push level 8 and just play a fully upgraded board, so it would be this, and then just Echo on 8 for Star Guardian. And even level 2s, like the lowest that you can place is like a 5th if you played it properly. The comp is just really consistent, and it actually has like a pretty decently high cap, assuming you can go for 3 stars when you're uncontested. Oh, some of the good augments for this comp is like, you can even play like Channeled Ferromancy and just play a Brand Umbrella on your board. You can play Steadfast Presence. If you want to just use tactics.tools to check what augments are good, like Exiles is good. There's just a bunch of random stuff that you can do. But just the roll timing is usually it's a 3-2 into a roll down if you have pairs, or it's a 3-5 all in, or it's a 4-1, like send it until everything's fully upgraded, and then you reevaluate whether you want to push 8 or just roll for 3 stars. But yeah, I mean, this is, you know what, I remember why I stopped making tier lists, because there's too much to talk about, and then when people place poorly because they played bad, they start blaming my tier list and not their own level of play, and that just pisses me off, because it's like, yeah, you went 6th, that's because you're bad. It's not because the comp is bad, it's because you're just bad. But anyway, no flame. 80 Phlex, The cap version of this board is the AD items usually want to end on Aphelios too, and your cap is just going to be Alistar, Aphelios, Aegis, random Sure Shot, and Aphelios all other items. But most of the time, I wouldn't try to itemize Aphelios. Even on level 8, if you do find an Aphelios, I'm not like super comfortable putting all items on Aphelios unless you have like high-end shopping or level up or something, or like a Nikos, because most of the time you're not going to hit Aphelios 2, and then you'd rather carry like a Belveth 2 or a Samira 2. But anyway, the comp is like pretty flexible. A lot of times like Sejuani is pretty contested, so you don't have to play Sejuani, which opens up the Vi, and then you can play like just like Cho'Gath, Rammus. It's basically a comp that like you have a strong early game, then your 4-1 is pretty easy to use your gold to spike, because you can actually also be rolling for all the threats. You can be rolling for like Zac, sometimes Asol, like you can also be rolling for just like even like a Nyla 2 on your board is fine. If everything is upgraded and your itemization is decent, you want to just play like a pretty stable board, go level 9 and cap around Fiddlesticks, Urgot, Aphelios, Nunu, Leona, like all that stuff, and then it's usually a win out. But this comp is like super stable. If you have a good opener and you just roll and you actually buy units on your roll down that you're supposed to, not just like tunnel onto specific units, as long as everything's upgraded, the lowest you can place is 5th, and most of the time your cap is pretty high as well. It's kind of like Recon's, but it's just a little bit different. It's more high roll than Recon, or it takes more like thinking, but not really, because the comp's pretty easy. But anyway, usually it's just Last Whisper, Gunblade +1, and then just generic frontline items like Sunfire is good, Warmonks is good, Redemption is good, Declaw is good, Gargoyle is good, Bramble. Like it doesn't matter, just slam the items as you go. You put your items on whatever is upgraded. For example, I think Echo is probably the strongest tank, but most of the time Echo is super contested, so you just put like, let's say you upgrade your Rammus, just jam all your items on Rammus, you call it. Let's say you upgrade the Belveth first, bet you play the Belveth, you don't even have to play the Sure Shot backline, then you can go like Rammus, like Cho'Gath, like whatever. But it's just Last Wizard Gunblade, frontline items, and then your end goal. Oh, also if you're playing against like mech or something, a lot of times, like you don't have to end the Aphelios, by the way. A lot of times like the Aphelios is your high rolling early or mid, and you have the HP and you can go 9 and you can cap around Aphelios, but most of the time you're just stuck on your carry, which is fine. You can play like even like Senna if you upgrade it, Sivir if you upgrade it, Sivir plus Senna with Belveth plus 5 frontline units, and then your team will have the damage and your team has the frontline. So I mean, this is just like my go-to. I start bow personally, and I just flex into AD, and I think this comp is like, usually it's like a high roll opener into like a roll down on 4-1 into either a 4-5 or 5-1. You can roll pretty deep on 4-1 as well. But yeah, that's AD flex. Good stuff. You cap around legendaries. Next is going to be lasers. Okay, before I start with lasers and duelist, I just want to point out real quick that lasers and duelist, even though both boards play Zed, the itemization is different. So don't sit there and slam like Runan's Last Whisper IE or Runan's Last Whisper greet the GA on Zed and be like, yo, what the hell, my comp sucks. Well, yeah, your items suck. Like laser Zed has a different itemization than, like I'm not saying like you can't build the items if it, like let's say you have an Ash 2 early game and you have Bow Cloak Chain. Like fuck yeah, you're gonna build Runan's and play around the chain. Like that chain is half Sunfire most of the time. Like I wouldn't prefer going GA. But it's just be like wary of the itemization, because also it's bugged, by the way. Hacker on Zed, the drone's proc hacker. That's why the stats are so insane. Usually this comp is just carried by early game tempo. You 4-1 it if you have the laser +1. You could even play 7 laser, 8 laser. Who cares? Like, you just play whatever is upgraded, and then like the best items on this comp are like Spark, Shiv, Redemption, Sunfire Cape, like all that stuff. And it's basically just like a team effort. Like everyone on your team just does like 3k damage randomly. But also like another trick is like you don't feel bad just putting the Redemption on Renekton and putting the Redemption on Yasuo. You find another Redemption, then you put it on Sejuani, and then you just spread the Redemptions. You can put items on Senna, like just all your early game streaking items on Senna, and it's basically just like a guaranteed top 3 if you have the laser core opener. And you can actually cap out, especially with the laser +1. If you can go 9 and play around Fiddlesticks and Urgot and drop like one of the worthless lasers and just play 6 laser with like legendaries, it's really strong. Sunfire is pretty good. Don't be scared to just put random ass items on Zed. I think in this comp QSS is actually better than G on Zed, but just don't greed your items. The meta is all about just making your items and just figuring it out later, as long as you're not stupid about it. Like I'm not gonna put a rabbit onto my Zed, but like usually the tempo is level 7. You can just send it for 1 copy of Sedge, 1 copy of Zed if you don't have the +1. But if you do have the +1, or like even sometimes like the Sedge 2, like Vi 2, like Renekton 2, or not Sedge 2, Renekton 2, Vi 2, like Senna 2 is strong enough to streak, and you can just like 8 on 4-5 and then just roll forward like the legendary +1s. You don't have to play Zoe and stuff like that. Yeah, but the itemization is just like it's more like this board is more of like a team effort. Like even like a redemption on Renekton goes a long way, like a Sunfire Cape on Sejuani goes a long way. Just like so, just random items all around. The damage comes from not the itemization on your units, but it's from the trait of Laser Core, like the drones and stuff. And it's basically just a top 3 comp. You're not going to win the games that often, but it's pretty good. All right, Draven. This comp is like it's too good, but it's so bad. Like if you miss, you're just miserable. But if you hit, like it just feels like the freest top 2 of your life. But basically, I wouldn't like play this comp unless you like have like 3 out of 6 Draven items immediately, and you have an early Draven, or you have like a Draven augment. Like the Draven augments are super good. There's also like certain augments such as like bigger, better buckler, the Poppy carry augment. But sometimes you can play like like defender +1, stuff like that. Sometimes you can play 4 defender and not play the supers. But generally speaking, the Draven items aren't super important. You actually don't even need healing, but like healing is definitely like you want it. Like Last Whisper, this is the one unit in the game that BT is acceptable, but I still think Gunblade is better. But the problem is sometimes like you can't build the Gunblade, sometimes you can't build the BT, but whatever. Usually you 3-2 it, you roll down for like Draven 2 and like maybe like some of your front lines upgraded, and then you just sit that stage and then you slow roll, and when you're at like 6 or 7 Dravens, you just send it down, hit the Draven 3, and you just level to 8, level to 7, level to 8, play some random garbage, and then it's just way too strong. Like Draven just usually just goes infinite. You're gonna be winning like most of your rounds on 3-2 with the Draven 2 plus like certain upgrades, but just know that Draven 2 is like not that good going to stage 4. So if you're losing, it's because you didn't hit, and this comp is, like I already said, it's kind of annoying, but it's good. You have to play it sometimes. I think last best item is probably IE. Last Sister IE +1. You can even go Ginsu, you can go like GS, you can go Guardbreaker, Gunblade, Titans, BT, like whatever. The one thing I want you guys to take away from this tier list is probably just itemization is like, don't just look at a guide and be like, oh, I need these 3 items. As long as your items make sense, you're chilling. All right, Viego. Oh, this is like a pretty flexible board. I mean, this comp is, I think it's one of the best like full open into a 3-5. And then all you have to do on 3-5, it's because Viego 1 is so stable, and when you roll down, you're actually rolling down for everything. So like, let's say you're rolling on 7, you actually don't need the Leona. I mean, you're basically just playing Viego Talon plus Renegade +5 or +4 on 7. So most of the time it'd be like Viego Talon, like Camille. If your admin is good, just play like just start upgrading your LeBlanc. And then like you would be playing Camille, and then if you're playing this board, then you might as well just play Annie Alistar, and then hey, look, you're 4 Ox. And then, like, look at this board, it's so cheap. And the thing is, Viego 1, most of the time, like the reason this comp is so good on 3-5 and early stage 4 is that people just don't have enough damage to kill your Viego. But that's why the most important item on this comp is going to be Gunblade. There's that Gunblade Ox Force interaction that I think I talk about on my stream all the time, but I'm too lazy to talk about it here. It's just know that Gunblade is fucking broken. But I think BIS Viego, like Gunblade Spark +1, Gunblade Titans +1. It's just Gunblade +2. I think if you have Titans, JG is more acceptable, but I wouldn't go like Gunblade JG GS. I would only go like GS JG if I had like more AP, such as like Rabadons or Titans. So like Gunblade Rabadons, or Gunblade Titans plus JGGS, or it's going to be Gunblade Spark plus Titans. Usually Titans, like the reason I like to mention Titans so much is because this comp can't use bows and chains as readily as some of the other boards. So like a lot of times you can just slam Titans, and it's just super good with Gunblade because your effective HP is so high. But then like when you roll down on 7, you're not like, you can also roll for like Cho 2, Rammus 2, Zac 2, just like random like echoes, like random stuff. You can pivot in and out of 4 and 6 Ox. If you have Ox +1, you can go 6 Ox. I usually don't really like Renegade Spat that much, but it's still pretty good. Battle Mage is good on this comp. Like Thrill is good. CB is good. I mean, the comp is good. It's just it's usually you just roll for 1 copy of Viego and you want to push level 8. And if you hit Viego 2, great. You're chilling. Oh, Windy Janna is really good. But yeah, this is Viego. Fun stuff. And then, okay, people always meme on me for this vertical anima, but I looked at my stats, I averaged a 2.5 with 7 anima trait. Yeah, I think 7 anima is like super good, but I think it's one of those comps that like the reason it's so low is because, I mean, I think Duelist, AP Phlex, and anima are all just like comps that are just like, you need to pass like an augment check. If you don't have like an augment to set them up, like they feel like you just dead, like you're just instant dead. I think some of the checks would be like the Jinx support augment, like Soul Eater is super good, Kingslayer is broken. Like Kingslayer, you would just not level Sorrel or level like roll to 30 for like Silas, like as many Silas as possible, then you like resend it mid stage 3. for Silas 3, and then you just play vertical anima from there. Nace is just push tempo, Jinx is just push tempo. And basically this comp, it sounds troll, but just because this is this is the way the comp is played, and it sounds like a pathetic, but it doesn't mean the comp is bad. It's the same thing as Deja. Like Deja was broken near the end of last set, but it's basically just level to 7. You want to level to 7, you need to roll for 1 copy of MF. If you don't hit a copy of MF, you're going 8th. But the thing is, if you hit a copy of MF, you're already guaranteed top 2. Like it's like, the comp's good, but basically some other conditions are just like anima +1, spat openers, just like a upgraded Nasus, upgraded Silas with a 1 copy of like Jinx and stuff like that. Keep in mind that you don't have to play Silas, or you don't have to play Echo Alistar. You can also play, you also can like play 5 anima, you can play Reverberation. The Echo can be like Fiddlesticks. The Alistar doesn't have the Alistar, it can be Sejuani and stuff like that. Just like, as long as it's an upgraded unit, it's better. And itemization in this comp, it does not matter. Most of the time, you don't actually like the BIS MF are the multiplicative items, like Guard Breaker, GSGG, stuff like that, because anima gives 55%. Like a lot of times you have to play your mid game around some other stuff. So like just slamming like random stuff on Jinx, like Shiv, Ginsu, Vayne, stuff like that. And going from there, all the upgrades matter. Like even a Jinx 2 with no item randomly does 2k damage. But you just play super tempo, 4-1, send it for 1 MF, big chilling. Okay, vertical duelist. Everyone tilts me because they're just like, oh, vertical duelist Keck W so bad. But like duelist is good. It's just an augment check. Like Knives Edge is super good. The healing ones, I think CB is better than Thrill. Like makeshift armor is also good. Vitality of the Ox, Spirit of the Exile. I don't know. It's just like, it's just check tactics tools for the augments. But most of the time, it's just 6 duelists plus Sejuani +1 on 8. But the reason this comp is good is because the lowest that you can place is 5th. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you go 5th, is that even a 5th? Is that even a 5th? Not really. Like a 5th is still pretty decent. It means you outplace 3 other players, and you have to play it sometimes. Like for example, like Rod Chain Bow, or like Last Whisper plus Rod, and stuff like that. You just like, and then you get like a Vayne drop or another drop. You actually don't need Locket, but like Locket is really good. Last Whisper Vayne is really good. Usually you want to put items on Vayne because the roll interval for this comp is not actually playing around the Zed carry. It's just playing around all this garbage frontline that you upgraded with Vayne just in the back just doing damage. But most of the time it's just 3 items of Vayne. Like Runance is really good for mid game. Last Whisper is good. GS is good. DB is good. GA is good, but I wouldn't like build it because it's half Locket and half a BS sword item for Vayne, unless you just randomly have a Z2 out of nowhere. Yeah, the roll timing, the reason the comp is good is because the roll timing, like if you see the board, it's actually just super cheap. Like you don't even need the Sejuani, or you can't really play the Sejuani until level 8 or until level 7, but the comp just spikes way too hard on 3-2. You can just send it on 3-2. If you have like 4 pairs, you could actually roll for like 3 of them. Like for example, if you're Fiora pair, Yasuo pair, like Vayne pair, you can just oh wait, and like KO pair, you can just send it. And let's say you hit Fiora and Yasuo, you can still send it until you hit. And then like after your entire board is upgraded, there's no way you can lose stage 3, and you probably won't lose like the first half of stage 4. But it's usually a focus on Vayne carry. Your win con, obviously just scout and see if you can actually go for the Nyla 3 and the Vayne 3. But most of the time, you can also just push levels, play random Fiddlesticks or Urgot over Zoe, depending if you have Z itemization, or like Hacker is not that valuable and stuff like that. If you have Locket, Hacker is less valuable. Yeah, this is vertical duelist. It's kind of like the same thing as Laser Core. It's kind of just like, just see what your itemization is, and that like tells you whether you want to play Laser Core Z or Duelist Z. And then the last comp is going to be AP Phlex. I mean the comp is good, but it's honestly just an admin check. Like if your admin is bad, it's an AIF. But if your admin is good, you're chilling. There's like certain augments that are good, like Aim Assist into LeBlanc, Power Grid into Sona carry, Berserk into Soraka carry, Infuse into Soraka MF duo. Like some of the admins, like it's pretty obvious. Like every 5 seconds your team gains AP, team starts with AP, team starts with mana. Every 5 seconds team gains mana. Just like if you hit an MF2 on your roll down, you're playing MF2 on your board. If you hit a Talia 2 on your roll down, you're playing Talia 2 on your board. But usually it's just like Annie, Alistar, Zoe, LeBlanc, like even like a Lulu in, and then you just cap around Fiddlesticks, Syndra, Nunu. Blue buff Soraka is good, like Hard Zoe is good. I mean, this comp though is basically just an admin check. I will talk about some items like the blue buff GSGG is super good on Soraka. Sunfire Spark is really good on Annie. Tank items on Echo if you can, but most of the time you don't have the luxury and you just put on Annie and call it. But yeah, I mean, that's the tier list. Just know that if you bought 4, it's not because the comp is bad, it's because you're bad. Yup. Pog Soju Feb 50. 50% off your first box. It's actually giga cheap. And then if you don't like it, just cancel it, man. Like, I seriously think you should actually at least try it. Like, if you're too lazy to cook, or like you just like deliver everything like I do, it's definitely cheaper than that, especially if you use my code. And the food tastes like better, like no cap. K3soju Feb 50, bet.